is, how did we get to this place? We've got to this place because the Republicans hatched over 30 years ago a insanely ambitious plan, which has come to fruition. And at this point, the Democrats there's a handful of media outlets out there, social media pages out there they can use, but most of the national media is closed off for them. They're never going to get a fair reporting anymore. You're not going to get it on the cable news networks anymore because the Republicans control a good chunk of the messaging on those now as we go. And of course, Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, the rural America, far right-wing media landscape, you're just not going to get a fair shake out there. The Democrats there's another problem that they have where the Republicans spent insane amounts of money to build this up and now have created a messaging juggernaut that allows a minority opinion to have control over the national mindset. The Democrats have multiple times had people that have tried to start left-wing media outlets, and the Democratic Party has just not supported them. Just not supported them. Whether it's cable TV news networks or Air America when it's there, they just didn't support them. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna be honest, they don't do really much to support us here in this market. We're the only progressive radio station in this town. Can I tell you how many times I call a Democrat and say, "Would you like to come on and do an interview?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." Really? Seriously, really? Republicans, if you are in the very northwestern part of the state of Minnesota and a radio station in the very southeastern part of the state calls you up and says, "Would you like to do an interview?" the Republican will say, "Where and when?" If you were this station, I love that station, I'd do that, but I really don't want to do media. Then what are you doing running for office? It's embarrassing how bad you guys are at this right now. It's embarrassing. I should be having to basically tell you enough. I don't have time to get you guys on the air here. And yet they don't even want to come on the air. I mean, I had like a handful of Democrats call up and say, "Hey, can I get some airtime?" Sure. I can't help you when you guys keep shooting yourselves in the foot. But now here you are in a real bind, and it should not take a pandemic for people to hear your message. So what do you do to fix this? Well, first of all, stop with the constant fundraising because you're not spending your money well. Let me give you an example. You guys will go on out there and do a lot of fundraising so you can buy some ads, and you'll go buy an ad on a radio station where 5 seconds before your ad runs, they're bad-mouthing you, and 5 seconds after your ad runs, they're bad-mouthing you. You think you're doing anything good there? No, you're not. You're basically trying to buy a gallon of milk and compete with the Republican Party who owns 20 dairies. And you're wondering why your message is not getting out there. Ta-da! That's why. Also, you guys you're missing the obvious. The majority of people agree with your policies. Stop going out there and spending half your campaign cash to try to appeal to 20 Republicans who aren't going to vote for you anyway. Because you're just trying to be Republican light, and if I got my choice between Republican light or Republican, most Republicans are just going to take the Republican. The mistake you guys continually make is you keep saying, if 4 of them vote for us, we'll win by 1 vote. Roll credits, march into the sunset. Ha ha. Idiots. Seriously, and someone has to tell you this. Idiots. No, you see everyone that didn't vote? Most of them are on your side. Ta-da! You guys have to do better at this. Now, how, I don't know, because I have zero. Your best bet would be to try to basically build some sort of national messaging network a la what they have with the radio stations and the newspapers and this. But those are all kind of dying mediums, and I don't know how viable it is. I'll be the first to say it. Punching a bunch of electricity into a metal tower and sending out a wave signal, we get a lot of listeners that are listening online. That's where most of the stuff is. You have to be looking at the future. And no, a 3-hour podcast with some PhD guy is not an effective counterpart to a 3-word bumper sticker slogan. My guess would be is this: you should get out, take some of that millions of dollars of campaign cash. You guys constantly are fundraising. Like I said, stop with the fundraising appeals. My God, you're just turning people off. It didn't work this time, did it? The 19 a day, 19 or 20 a day I was getting. Hey, it's Bob once again. We just wanted to make sure you saw our last 17 messages. You need to get out there and start pushing your narrative. You need to get out there and start pushing the failures of Donald Trump. You need to get out there and start doing something, because hoping that the New York Times will somehow come out and give you better coverage, hoping that the right-wing radio station in a small town will somehow give you a fair shake, hoping that Twitter is somehow going to come back. Those things aren't real, dude. They're just not. And so I would focus on social media that's not compromised. I would focus on getting out there. I agree with you. I think doing the old school road show is not the worst idea, and getting into these communities and doing rallies starting tomorrow about making America better. We're keeping an eye on Donald Trump, pointing out his failures. And I would get out there and I would cultivate some sort of traditional media presence, which isn't one or two podcasts or one or two freaking boutique interviews. You got to get yourself something more than what you got right now. Because right now you're getting your asses handed to you because your messaging is crap. Joe Biden did not deserve what just happened to him. He was a pretty darn good president. And basically, because you guys are sitting there, why is the Washington Post not giving us a fair shake? I don't know. Who owns the Washington Post? Oh! And it doesn't become apparent to you until after the damage is done. So stop being satisfied with the second place ribbon. Get off your cabooses, start utilizing the tools that you have, and start using some of that damn money you have, and go out there and cultivate real messaging channels where you can communicate with the majority of Americans who agree with you. Ta-da!